I'm Dr. Betsy Muriithi. I'm a research fellow at iLab Africa. iLab Africa is a research and innovation center located at Strathmore University. At iLab Africa, as a research fellow, my work revolves around investigating different ways that we can enable data driven decision making in different domains, be it climate change, be it agriculture, be it healthcare. For this specific project, which is empowering smallholder farmers in Busia, we are looking to develop low cost mini weather stations and accompanying tools and technologies for data driven insights, particularly weather and climate agro advisories. I am the principal investigator, leading a team comprising of Internet of Things engineers and data scientists, as well as different experts from Calro, Seco, and Safaricom. The project that we are currently undertaking is using artificial intelligence and Internet of Things to provide localized weather information to smallholder farmers and offer data driven insights for farming activities. From an initial study we conducted with the farmers, we found out that a lot of farmers rely on regional weather broadcasts. So this is what you normally see at the end of news, either on TV or on radio, where you are told what the weather outlook will be for tomorrow, and that's what they currently use when they are doing their farming activities. That is, they use that information to know when to plant, when to harvest, so that they can harvest early enough, so that they can dry their produce, so that it doesn't go to waste. So what the gap that exists currently when they rely on regional weather broadcasts is often they're not localized to at least the ward level. So by developing mini weather stations that rely on Internet of Things, we are able to collect localized weather information at a smaller grid level compared to current satellites and national weather stations. This is a summary of the underpinning technology and data inputs. So it's just taking you through the entire system in terms of the system architecture. So we have IoT technology, the sensors for weather variables and data collection. So we are collecting temperature, humidity, light intensity, and then we also using LoRa-1, so long range one, and GSM communication modules to be able to transmit the information to wireless module that then transmits it to our center here at iLab. We will use 3D printing weather technology to print the weather encasings, although we realize that 3D printing can become quite costly. And so we kind of try to balance to experiment with 3D printing encasings and electrical boxes to see if that has an impact on the data collection. So once the data is collected using the IoT technologies, those are the different sensors we have. It's aggregated to a technology, a platform that we are collecting and visualizing and monitoring the system. So that's and then the data is relayed to farmers using a mobile phone. This is the weather stations that has an encasing that was 3D printed, and on your left is one of the samples of the electrical boxes. So these are the weather stations that we have deployed in Machakos and Busia counties. We deployed in Machakos to test them before we scaled it to Busia County. And so these weather stations, they are small in size, and we were able to reduce the cost by locally producing the different components. The PCBs were brought in from abroad, but everything else we tried as much as possible to produce locally in our labs, putting together the different sensors, designing the PCB boards, and then designing the outer casings. So once the data is collected by these weather stations, it's sent to a central location. And over here, I am showing a dashboard that we created that monitors the data that's currently being collected. As you can see, we have the devices that are currently in use, so anyone is able to remotely monitor the devices and their performance. And then over here, you can see the device location. You can see we had a couple that we deployed in Machakos and a couple at Calro's different farms at Muguga for testing. And then we deployed in Busia County, as you can see from the map. So this dashboard is for super users who are able now to kind of track the data from a higher level view. You're able to see the devices, you're able to see the device statistics and all that. But then for the farmers, we needed a tool that can enable them to get the data on their hands from the devices in a useful way. So we developed a mobile application that has the current weather and a 5-day weather forecast. So they're able to see in the upcoming 5 days what the weather would look like so that they can plan accordingly. And then we also have ingrained in it agro advisory chatbot that a farmer is able to query for different farms, for different plants, what they'd like to know. So at the top over here, we have what is currently being picked up for the the current weather. You have the wind speed, you have the humidity point, and the temperature. And then you have the weather forecast, the 5-day weather forecast. And then you have the temperature readings um, for a 10-day for the whole week. So you're able to track as a farmer what the weather outlook is and be able to plan accordingly. In addition to that, we have videos. So these videos we got from Shamba Shaper. They were the data set, the full data set is on Sprout, which offers free content for different farmer facing organizations. So these videos are available on the app and they are particularly focusing on climate smart agriculture. So it offers bit sized training for farmers in Swahili to be able to kind of educate themselves on climate smart agriculture. And then on the next page, um, we have the agro advisory. So it's a chatbot. So this chatbot allows a farmer to query for different plants. So, for instance, we picked maharagwe, and then they're able to get different advisories in terms of whether what when they're planting, when they're harvesting, if there is an imminent threat of climate change, they're able to get advisories in Swahili, but also for people who can't read, they're able to play a video recording. So this one we used text to speech technologies to be able to automate the reading of the different advisories for the farmers. So that's it in terms of the entire technology. Yes, so I think one of the biggest barriers is that some of these digital technologies, yes, they need a smartphone, but we were able to work with the smallholder farmers to have champions. So each village had several champions who owned smartphones, a basic Android phone. We are realizing that the penetration of smartphones is getting better and better. So we are able to leverage this by having champions who we train and they can disseminate the information to other people who do not have smartphones. The Kenya Agricultural and Livestock Research Organization, CALRO, is an established wealth of information in terms of research in farming activities. So this partnership established as it's a strategic partnership that got us access to expertise. And then most importantly, we were able to access their knowledge base for agro advisory. And so we are able to create a chatbot for, at the moment, value chains in Busia County for the different crops that are predominantly grown in Busia County using the knowledge repository. Leveraging technology requires a collaborative and context specific approach. We were able to prioritize education, get to the farmers even before we built the technology to understand what is their current situation, what infrastructure is available to them, and then build tools that kind of suit their needs and they're able to use. Another thing that I would give is having gender aware approaches. We prioritize working with at least two women farmer groups. And so by working with farmer groups, we are able to encourage more women to come into the fold in terms of digitizing. But even beyond that, how can we need to figure out how to build for people with disabilities, build for people with low digital literacy. And then lastly, I would advise the um, researchers and innovators to establish feedback loops for continuous improvement. There's always going to be room for improvement. They need to learn from their challenges, but also celebrate their successes.